everybody, what's up? We have a fitness video today. I'm doing a leg focused workout, but there was a sort of a variety of stuff that we will be doing today, touching on just some of the things that I do to achieve my fitness goals. So right now we are just kind of warming up a bit. I did some warming up off camera. Warming up is important. Stretching is important. You know, do all the things for safety, right? You don't want to injure yourself when you work out. I've learned that the hard way. But this video, I'll talk a little bit about what's happening on screen. But because this is my first fitness-focused video, I want to talk more about my fitness philosophy, my, fitness journey, my experience with working out and various kinds of fitness, maybe some thoughts on like body image and stuff like that. So this will be sort of an introduction to how I think about fitness. And I might chime in occasionally to just comment on what's going on screen. So, I guess just to kick the topic off, I'll talk a little bit about my history with fitness. I have been a very, very skinny guy for my life, for all of my youth. I should have got some old photos of me to put up on screen so you could see, but I mean, you can imagine I was just a total gangly, skinny teenager kind of guy. And I had body image issues with that. I always wanted to be, big and strong, but it wasn't a huge pressing factor in my life, I guess. I did try to get into working out now and again when I was younger, but it never really stuck. I could never keep to a habit. We're doing some hip thrusts, and by the way, this is all at home, workout stuff that I'm doing. I've been working out at home for quite a while now, which has some advantages and disadvantages, and I'll talk about that. These are like a clamshell, I think these are called, and I have a dumbbell on my side to add a little more weight. But yeah, once I got to college, I did commit to the gym a little more, but I never really saw too much progress, pretty much because, I don't know, I guess my regimen wasn't right, or I definitely wasn't changing my diet to kind of match what my goals were. And for a long time, my workouts were motivated by kind of a negative self-image. Again, it wasn't an extreme problem, but it was sort of looking in the mirror and just being unhappy with the really skinny guy that I saw. realization for me on a personal level was when I kind of got my, I don't know, my mental health right. I sort of got right with myself. I came to love myself, kind of unconditionally. I didn't have to hate myself because of this or that shortcoming. And funny enough, it was only after I sort of had that personal growth that I then did experience some success in my fitness. And my goals at that point became a lot healthier. I stopped worrying about, I need to look this kind of way. These muscles need to be defined or big or whatever. And I focused on things that were, sort of really impacting my quality of life. One thing that I always think about in regards to that was my boniness. I was really, really skinny. And so my shoulder blades and my spine and stuff, they would all poke out from my skin. And when I would sit on chairs or, be leaning against things or whatever, my bones would just kind of be pressing right against the surface. And I would get like bruises from it. And it was just uncomfortable. And so that's an example. Like, my goals shifted away from I need to not be ugly and shifted towards, here is a specific thing that I can do for myself to solve a specific problem. And once I got more into that mindset, I really started to experience progress. So, I should have said this at the beginning, I'm not a personal trainer. I'm not, an exercise scientist or a physical therapist or anything like that. I am completely a self-guided amateur. I watch internet videos and stuff, so don't take any of what I say as, reliable advice. By the way, we're doing some kickstand deadlifts here. One of the disadvantages of working out at home, is that you don't have access to a variety of high weights. And I could buy them, but, besides the cost of doing that, it also takes up a lot of space, and I live in a kind of small apartment. So, I really don't want to buy more dumbbells. Though I think I need to, because I've kind of capped out my strength with the current dumbbells that I have. I have to push volume a lot higher to see the same kind of burnout. But anyway, I like to do asymmetrical, or I'm not sure what the word would be, focusing on like one leg instead of both legs, so that I can maximize the efficiency of my lower weight amount. Because if both legs are working equally, then it's kind of like dividing that weight in half per leg. But if you can put more of the strain on one leg, then the weight is kind of higher for that leg, if that makes sense. So I'm just alternating these deadlifts with some squats here. some goblet squats, which just means that you're holding the dumbbell, one dumbbell up like a goblet. So, where was I? I was talking about, I started seeing progress when I kind of changed my relationship to my body, and I was caveating that I'm not a professional. What I will say is just that, I've gathered some kind of wisdom from my own experience. And if that can be helpful to people who are, on their own journey or just interesting, then that's what I want to share. But yeah, so once I started once I reformatted my perspective on working out, that really broke through a wall for me. I was able to start a habit and keep it consistent. And one thing I'll say, by the way, is start small if you're intimidated. I did 10 minutes a day of working out for, I think, a year. And, this is where we have to talk about goals, right? Because, you can look at me here. I'm not the biggest guy in the world. I don't have the craziest muscles. And, I'm happy with the progress I've made because you should only compare yourself to yourself. And I've made huge progress, compared to earlier versions of me. But a lot of fitness influencer people that you'll see online, they are way bigger than I am. They have much more developed muscles. And so I think it's very important to set your own personal goals, right? Figure out what you're looking for. Do you really want to look like them? And if you do, that's great, but that is going to require a lot more sacrifices on your part. The goals that I ended up setting for myself revolved around being healthy, having a high quality of life, getting stronger so that I could, be more useful in the real world if ever strength was needed. But I pushed away goals about looking a certain way. And you should think about that, because when I say that I worked out for 10 minutes a day, that is not going to get you to certain kinds of goals. That's not enough to get you to certain kinds of goals. But, it's enough to do something. And if that something is enough for you, then it can be a great place to start. And the other thing is, if you're struggling to start working out, it's great to have an easy goal, in my opinion. And 10 minutes a day is very accessible. And I did that for a long time. And then I was like, you know what? I would like to accelerate my progress a little bit. I would like to work more on these certain muscles. Or I would like to be burned out more at the end of my workouts or whatever. And so I added on more time. So now my workouts are longer. They're usually around probably 40 minutes. It depends on the day. But honestly, that's you'll see that's not just strength training. I've added in yoga. I like to go running. So I have kind of a holistic approach to my fitness here where, my primary emphasis is not necessarily the strength training. That's an important part of it, but there's more. I want to be healthy, so I want to have good cardio. I want to be limber and flexible and not hurt myself when I reach for things, And so I do yoga and stretching. I also do a meditation in this video, and that's something that I've done for a lot longer than working out consistently. And it's, not directly related to physical fitness, but I think it's a wonderful thing to get into if you're trying to fix your body or improve your body or change your body, however you want to frame it. I think it's extremely important that you also try to focus on your mind. At the end of the day, if you have a quote-unquote perfect body, but a weak mind, I think that's a much worse place to be than having a weak body, but a, quote-unquote perfect mind. And also having a strong mind, a strong will, that will help with working out too, so it all goes together, right? I guess all of that is just to say that your goals with fitness, you set your own goal, only you can decide what your goals are. But my caution would be, if you are consuming a lot of fitness content online, like I was, that is going to skew your goals in a certain direction. Or at least it will try to. And you have to be able to separate what you really want from what you are sort of being told to want by influencers online. Also, if you look at my stomach and chest, you can see I am panting here. This workout was a lot harder than I expected it to be. And I think it's because I'm wearing that ski mat. Well, I know it is. And, oh my god, I'm doing a stupid dance. I boogie all the time when I'm working out. Whenever I have a little rest moment, I'm always breaking it down. I'm throwing it back. I think I tried to shape up a little bit since I knew I was filming a video for you guys, but I guess that little dance snuck through. But yeah, just really think about what your goals are. Consider other aspects of your life and how your fitness routine interacts with that. Obviously, diet is a huge thing here. I'll talk a little bit about that. And I guess to close the loop, for obvious reasons, the ski mask is just very hot, and it makes it kind of hard to breathe. And so, I was kind of dying with it on. But yeah, just for privacy reasons, I just decided to wear it. But yeah, I'll talk about diet for a minute. So, as I said, I was super skinny, and I wanted to put on weight. And I think part of the reason that my initial workout spurts did not see much progress was because I didn't really change my diet, and I did not drastically increase my caloric intake to put on weight. really got into working out, much more seriously and started seeing progress, part of what was happening there as well was I changed my diet and I started eating a lot more food and consuming a lot more protein. And that worked well. I have put on, I think at my highest, I kind of put on like 45 pounds from when I sort of started my fitness journey, which is kind of a cliche phrase that I don't really like, to be honest. Fitness journey just makes it sound very like social media, but I mean, I am on social media talking about it, so who am I to throw stones? So changing my diet worked, but, and this is when we talk about our goals, right? At a certain point, I realized that the amount of bulking that I was doing, the amount of food I was eating, was like noticeably lowering my quality of life. It wasn't, horrible, like I wasn't dying, but every day the joy had just been sucked out of eating food, and I was miserable sitting at the table, shoveling down spoonful after spoonful of whatever, protein slop I had made. And not that it was bad food, it was like fried, stir fry with veggies and chicken and rice and stuff. It all tasted fine, but just the amount of eating. And so I realized at a certain point that my goals were now in conflict with each other. The, the goal of putting on a lot of weight was now conflicting with the goal of just like being happy, right? Also, I'm starting a little workout here. I just stretched after my leg workout, and now I'm doing a little thing that I like to do in between my high weight upper body workouts. I enjoy these very light load, kind of burnout workouts where I just really fry the shoulders or the arms, the triceps, whatever. With these very light weights, if you get into this kind of working out, I would start with 3-pound dumbbells, maybe even lighter, depending on your starting strength level. I'm using 5s here. So there's stuff online. When you get into fitness stuff online, you can read endlessly, but there's conversations and research about, low weight, high volume, or high weight, low volume, and all that stuff. And what kind of difference does it make on hypertrophy and yada yada. That's all great. I am not smart enough to really have a strong opinion about that. I would just be basically repeating Jeff Nippert's opinions, But the way that I think about it is it's just some variety. I throw these in the middle of recovery periods, and it's just a new way to burn out the muscle. It feels kind of different. Also, my form is I'm dying over here, so my form was slipping at the end there. So yeah, for me, it's just it's nice variety. It's a different way to burn the muscle. It feels different, and so I like doing it in between my higher weight workouts. But as I was saying before, I realized that my diet and my, general life well-being were coming into conflict. So again, that's a moment where you have to look at your goals and say to yourself, what's more important here? And whatever you decide is great, right? But what I decided was that the discomfort of eating so much food every day was not outweighing the fact that it was helping me put on weight. Plus, to be honest, I had kind of capped out my weight a little bit. It was becoming so hard to put on further weight. Yeah, the dudes that really bulk and put on a ton of weight, and like bodybuilders and stuff, I don't know how you guys do it. That is crazy impressive. So, I decided that for the sake of my just, life, quality of life, I would ease back on the food. So, I still try to eat a little more than I would say is kind of like my natural stopping point. And I have protein shakes, and I don't like those, but overall I have drastically cut back on how hard I am pushing the diet stuff. And I've said, if I stop putting on weight, that's okay with me. That is like, I'm happy at the weight that I've reached. And so that's the sort of thing, you keep your goals in mind, you reevaluate as your circumstances change, and you just try to decide what's right for you at any given point. Also, I did not set up this camera very well. I'm sorry, this is my first fitness video, my first video where I've actually filmed anything with a camera. And so I just set it up and kind of looked at the framing and thought that I had it right, but it's actually quite problematic here when you can't really see what my arms are doing, although the crazy shadows on the wall, they kind of help with that, I guess. So, yeah, that's kind of the broad strokes of my thoughts around fitness and diet and stuff like that. It is a very personal thing, there's so many different ways to do it, and it can be intimidating because it seems like a lot. There's an Adam Ragusea video that I really like. I think it's called Cooking Internet and Lifting Internet Have the Same Problem. And in it he talks about how you can kind of get wrapped up in the details when you are delving into the intricacies of cooking or lifting, when at the end of the day, what's really important is that you're doing anything at all, safely, of course. And, the small differences between should you have this kind of push-pull leg day split, or should you have this, or how many rest days should you have, or, should you internally rotate or externally rotate for this or that exercise. All of those things are so minor compared to the simple fact of just starting to work out. my advice is like, don't worry about starting too small. As I said, I started with 10 minutes a day, and I did that for a very long time. And frankly, if I did that until the day that I died, I think I would have been happy with it. I did reach a point where I said I wanted a little more, and maybe you would as well, and maybe you wouldn't, who knows. But just give yourself permission to start small. Give yourself permission to set your own goal. You know, that's, I know I've already talked about it in this video, but really give yourself permission to decide what you want for yourself. You're going to see a lot of people on the internet talk about weight loss, or gaining mass, or gaining this amount of muscle, or whatever. Just really sit with yourself and think about what you want for your own happiness and well-being. So, I think that kind of covers a lot of what I wanted to talk about with the fitness stuff. I'll get a little more philosophical with it now, I guess. There's like a conundrum in working out for me where I have this certain vision in my mind that to go be a monk in silent meditation on a mountainside and sit there for years at a time without speaking, and to have that mental mastery where it kind of doesn't matter what's happening to your body is I don't know if I would say it's the ideal way to live or whatever, but it's just a vision that I have in my mind of what true well-being can look like. And so, if I have that in mind, how do you say that changing your body is the right thing to do? Shouldn't you just change your mind so that you're okay with where you're at? And sorry, that's sounding kind of stupid. I think it's because I'm not phrasing it right. Let me put it this way. I talked about how I had body image issues, and how also right now I'm just doing some stretching. I think I'm gonna do some yoga after this. Let's see. Yeah, we've got our yoga mat and our yoga blocks, so we're ready to get down. I don't know how to do yoga. Anyways, I have to watch classes online whenever I do it. But anyway, yeah. So, take for example, I have body image, or I used to have body image issues that kind of bothered me. Now I don't really have those kinds of issues to the same degree, but at the same time, it's are there things about my body that if I had a magic wand, I would change? Yeah, I guess there are. In between my pecs, I have a pretty big pec gap. And that's just a genetic thing. It's a very small detail in the grand scheme of things, but it's always just kind of bothered me. And if I had a magic wand, would I change that? Well, I mean, that means that I haven't really completely come to peace with my own body image, right? I guess that's what I mean when I was talking about that crazy tangent about the monk in the mountains. I sort of think that I've overcome these issues, but have I really? But also, maybe certain things about wellness are like an asymptote in mathematics, right? Where you can sort of imagine the perfect state of well-being where you're not bothered by your own body or anything, like you have the perfect peaceful mind. But in the practicalities of the real world, the best that we can do is kind of asymptotically approach that well-being. All we can do in our life is try to get closer and closer, but we will never actually reach it. Does that make sense? And maybe that's not, I don't know, that doesn't have to be a contradiction. It can be true that I have made a lot of progress on my body image issues, but also that if I really think about that little chest gap in between my pecs, that it does kind of bother me. And that's okay, I think another aspect of being being interested in fitness and changing your body like this is you should be okay with your shortcomings. It's a shortcoming to me that I have not yet completely annihilated my body image issues, right? But also, it's okay that I haven't. It's okay that I'm still kind of bothered by that chest gap. And maybe as I continue growing and progressing, emotionally and mentally, maybe one day that frustration with that part of my body will go away. Or maybe it will stay forever, but it'll just get, less and less pronounced. So, I know that that's all kind of philosophical, hooey-dooey, but, I don't know, I think, as I said, I only started to really make progress in my body after I made significant progress in my mind first. I got really into meditation before I got into working out. And meditation, I don't think that's the only way to figure out your mind. There's probably other paths that you can take. I mean, I know there are. For me, the path was meditation. It helped me identify and eliminate a lot of my mental pitfalls that I would find myself slipping into. Also, just a comment on the yoga. I am pretty amateurish at yoga, I think. Or I know I am. I have not been doing it for as long as I have been doing my other, fitness pursuits. And I started doing yoga just to, bring back our talk about goals. I started doing yoga because as my muscles were getting larger, I realized that I was losing flexibility and losing mobility. And I thought, whoa, that is not acceptable. is fun. But the idea of then my body being more constricted in its mobility was really scary to me. And so I realized that if I wanted to keep working out, I needed to integrate some mobility work. So that's when I started doing yoga, and I do some stretching as well, just sort of flexibility stretching, which I don't do in this video. But for instance, I'm trying very slowly to get my full splits where I can, drop my legs all the way in a single line down to the floor. Because for me, that's just a really important aspect of my well-being. So to bring it back to the goals, as I do a lot, or as I have a lot in this video, just always make sure that you are keeping an eye on your goals and making sure that they are right for where you are at the time. And I know I said this, but I'm watching a yoga video to go through this right now. I actually had a video going for my other workouts as well. I did do a preset workout regimen for a while, and that was fine, but what I have found about myself is that I really like variety, and I like to do different things when I work out. And I don't want to craft 1,000 different workouts so that I can have the variety myself, or, create it myself. So what I have found really helpful, like phenomenally helpful actually, is using workout videos online. And I'll just say the company. Obviously I'm not sponsored, and I don't care if you guys go to this specific company, but I will say that I use Peloton, the bike company. They have a lot of workouts on their website that are great for doing at home, just with, dumbbells and some basic tools. So, I use these Peloton workouts to get variety in my workouts while still adhering to a regimen of, what muscle groups I'm focusing on that day. And I also will kind of modify the videos myself, like if they're doing an exercise that I don't click with, I'll do something else or whatever. But yeah, those videos are very helpful for me because I just love that they're different all the time, and yeah, I appreciate that mental stimulation of not doing the exact same workout every time I hit legs, I should also say, this is just a totally aside thing, but I'm kind of sick right now, and I can kind of hear it in the mics. I think my mouth is super gummy, so if it is noticeable, that's why. That's why it might sound a little different. So we are wrapping up our yoga here, and I like doing yoga, and I want to keep doing it, but it's also kind of hard for me to do, not just because I'm not super good at it, but because same way. Take for instance, like, the weight training. If I missed a day of weight training, I would kind of feel like crap. Like, it's a funny thing about working out where you don't work out for years and you feel fine not working out, and then you start working out and the working out makes you feel like crap. But then when you get the habit formed, then when you miss a day of working out, that makes you feel like crap. And it's kind of a funny thing. It's just sort of this weird contradiction, I guess, where, you know, the thing that you're doing to make yourself feel good, you become, or to make yourself healthy, you become kind of a hostage to it, with your, like, mental well-being. Or speaking for myself anyways. Because then if you don't work out, it makes you feel like garbage. But with yoga, I have definitely not reached that same point. If I skipped a yoga day, it would be kind of a relief. I still have to sort of drag myself to the yoga classes, even though it makes me feel really, really, really good afterwards. But I think we're still just, we're forging that habit, so we'll get there, I'm sure, at some point. So this is just a 10-minute meditation that I'm doing. I mostly just do mindfulness meditation, which basically just means trying to observe everything going on around you, and not allow yourself to get lost in thought, not allowing yourself to become sort of identified with trains of thoughts, these, spiraling visions in your head of the past or the future, or fantasies, whatever, daydreams. So, I shouldn't even say that the idea is to not let that happen. The idea really is just to come back when it does happen. Just try to notice when it has happened and bring yourself back to your body, to your breathing, to the sounds in the room, to sensations that you're feeling, all that good stuff. And to be honest, I actually don't meditate that much anymore. This is not a good thing, probably. I should meditate more, but honestly, I got really into meditation, and I feel like it solved, like, so many issues I was having in life. And then I kind of just didn't need it anymore. Like, the lessons that it had taught me about how to deal with feelings and emotions and self-narratives and stuff. Once I had learned those lessons, I didn't really need to, actually sit down and practice meditation every day. Now, to be clear, I don't really think that that's true. I think it would be good if I still did meditate every day. But there's also sort of a sense of, meditation helped me when I needed it, and now it's in my back pocket for if I need it again. But I just don't really need it as much at this time in my life. But I did want to include it in this this video because I think thinking about your personal fitness only in the sense of lifting weights or running or flexibility is missing a huge part of the picture. So I wanted to include the meditation because I wanted to say basically, like, your mind is the most important thing that you have. It's so important for you to have a healthy body. That's so important. But I do believe that it's more important for you to have a healthy mind. And so, stuff like meditation or whatever else might be out there to help achieve that goal, I think is very important. And if you're doing something like, there's that classic example of the guy, his girlfriend breaks up with him, and so he goes to the gym to start working out to, like, exercise his demons, basically. That's fine, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, in and of itself, it's okay, whatever motivates you to go to the gym, that's a fine thing. But what's more important after your girlfriend breaks up with you is that you, like, learn how to deal with that emotionally and mentally. And if the gym is just a way to basically suppress your pain or, let out your rage and your hurt, then that's not awesome. So, I won't belabor the point anymore, but if you are taking care of your physical health, but not your, mental health, I think you're missing a big part of the picture. But, yeah, I think that's probably all that I sort of have to say about all these topics today. There's more that I could talk about, but the meditation is almost over, so I will wrap up the video. The only thing after the meditation is I throw on a pair of shorts because I realized I was like, wait, I did a leg workout. I probably should have been wearing shorts to show off, the leg muscles. This is just my usual workout attire. I always wear these raggedy ass sweatpants. But yeah, I throw in a pair of shorts and try to flex a little bit. To be honest, I don't really know how to flex, like, effectively. I mean, I know how to flex, kind of, but I just mean that I know that there's like a whole technique that bodybuilders use, and I know if you want to get the really good photos, you should probably learn that stuff. But yeah, looks like the meditation is over. But I mainly just, I'm gonna show off the legs here at the end. The pump has probably gone down a little bit, but that's fine. So, let's see what we got here, Alright, so, yeah, you can see a little bit of definition. You can see the quadriceps and the hamstrings, especially on my right leg there. The calf going on down there, so yeah, for joining me, my friends. I hope that you enjoyed this kind of a big video for me, the first one that I ever have had a recorded visual component for in the real world, and also the first time that I've put myself on camera. So, let me know if you want more fitness sort of videos. As I said, this one was going to be mostly about my philosophy and my thoughts on fitness overall. But in future videos, we can talk a little bit more about the nitty-gritty, the specific exercises that I do, my feelings about certain exercises, the things I like more or less, different workout regimens I've had, all that sort of good nitty-gritty technical stuff. So, yeah, I think that pretty much covers it. Thank you for joining me, my friends. I hope that you are doing very well. And until next time, please take care of yourselves, and I will do the same, especially after I recover from whatever I'm sick with.